All right, guys, let me know. I think the sound might be a little bit too loud, but let me know. Let me know if the music's a little bit too loud. It seemed a little loud at first. I put it at 22 dB. What's up, Arif, Enrique, Good News, Bender, Drop, Ryan, BT, Keegan, Nathan, Fox. Is the music good? Let me know if I need to turn it up or down. Chat, help me out real quick. The Nasdaq's honestly pushed up a lot this morning. The big news today. Hey, look at the NQ. Hold on. Yeah, Nasdaq is up huge. Yeah, so S&P futures are up, Nasdaq is up, Dow futures are up. Investors are digesting tariffs and Fed outlook. There's optimism in building on the there's optimism building on the prospect of exemptions from the 100% tariffs on semiconductor imports, but only for firms with US-based manufacturing, Apple, Nvidia, AMD. Apple's planning a $100 billion additional investment. The president spoke yesterday. We had some earnings this morning and yesterday. HIMS is up this morning, which is good. All right, so there's a sweeping set of U.S. tariffs ranging from 10 to 41% now in force, targeting imports from over 60 countries, including the European Union, Japan, South Korea, India, Switzerland, and more. India faces a 50% tariff tied to its imports of Russian oil, and they strongly oppose this, of course. We heard about this over the last few days. Over the last 24 hours, we heard about the president, planning to impose a 100% tariff on semiconductor imports. But exemptions are going to apply to companies that, again, invest in, manufacture in the U.S. Apple, Taiwan Semiconductors, Nvidia, and others committing to domestic production are slated for exemption. So they're going to avoid some of these tariffs. Trading partners, including European Union, Japan, South Korea, are racing to, commit to domestic production and secure relief from the new tariffs, especially in semiconductors, electronics, and pharmaceuticals. But the general tariff rollout is 10 to 41% on many trading partners. India's hit the hardest at 50%. There's a 100% semiconductor tariff, like I said, which applies broadly but exempts U.S. investors like Apple and Nvidia, and countries are lobbying to shield industries from these duties. Markets are reacting, especially chip makers in the U.S. If you take a look at Tesla is up, Apple is up, Nvidia is up to 182s. Remember, Nvidia all-time highs are only 185s, I think. 185s roughly all-time highs for Nvidia. It's at 182s. Gold is even up this morning. So a lot of stuff is up on some of these microchip exemptions that people are pretty optimistic about. Remember, we bought Apple, we bought HIMS yesterday, we bought Amazon yesterday. And we're very green. Very green and all this stuff. Yeah, if you can't hear the music, it's on your end. The music's playing. Yeah, today we got jobless claims, unemployment filings. They are expected to show up today at 221,000. It was previously at 218, though they are expecting an uptick in unemployment filings. Look at gold. Gold all the way up to 34.57. The nasdaq is up a lot too. I mean, the nasdaq is close to all-time highs. Close. So the nasdaq is making some moves as well here, to be honest. Crypto. Yeah, Bitcoin back up to 117. We've had some earnings this morning already. The current administration unveiled a new 160-page roadmap aimed at integrating crypto into everyday finance. It includes clarifying regulatory roles between CFTC and the SEC and reducing uncertainty and fostering mainstream adoption. Major institutions are warming up to crypto as well, further lifting sentiment. A potential executive order could allow cryptocurrencies and 401k retirement plans. More conventional institution involvement in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The rollout of the tariffs, investors kind of making people a little bit less uncertain, giving crypto market room to rebound. A lot of people are in risk on mode still, I think, and Bitcoin's up on that. So that's what I'm showing. But remember, like, we are very green in everything we bought yesterday. Literally everything we're up. Everything we bought yesterday we're green in. We already took profits in Amazon. We took profits in we took a little bit of PayPal off too, just because we can. Like, we're so green in everything already. And I mean, we might as well take some off. All right, look at this dip though. Yeah, I'm gonna remove this 610 level. I'm gonna keep it like this. We probably have some like areas here. I think 625 right here makes sense to pay attention to. 625 right there. Okay, so the president instructs the Commerce Department to start work on a new, highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures and using the results and information gained from the election of 24. People in the U.S. will not be counted if they're not here legally, is what he's saying. Again, I'm not saying I agree with this. We also had the Bank of England come out with their decision today. So the Bank of England cut rates 25 basis points to 4% as expected in a 5-4 vote, expected 7-2 votes. They reiterated careful and gradual language. And we did have Treasury Secretary Bassett say he does not think this is the biggest trade reset since '53. The biggest trade resets was the China shock, end quote. So we got Bassett speaking as well right now. See if any of this moves the markets. Market's kind of flat. Bassett says regulation pushed U.S. manufacturing offshore. The biggest trade reset was China. Again, in the Bank of England cut rates 25 basis points. Bassett's still speaking. Again, regulation push U.S. manufacturing offshore. The biggest trade reset was the China shock, and this is not the biggest trade reset since 35. Is he still speaking though? Let me see. I might buy the 605 level if we find something good. He said Micron is going to put in $200 billion. So I'm assuming Micron is heading up. Let's see, MU. Man, I can't type. Where's the U at? There it is. Yeah, look at Micron push up. He said Micron's going to put in $200 billion. Yeah, we're still covering what he's saying. Look at Micron shoot up. Again, this is a microchip company. Again, we got jobless claims unemployment filings in about an hour here. We'll put the timer up so we can watch that. Bitcoin ripping up here. Look at Bitcoin right now. Gold, Bitcoin, microchips, all rising pretty strong here. Let's do a poll. Okay, does today's jobless claims unemployment report show higher or lower unemployment filings? All right, here's the timer. Hey, what's up, K? Fox, D-Man. Yeah, I'm still in HIMS, and I'm green on HIMS. Yeah, remember yesterday I bought United Health, Apple, Amazon. Apple was just a day trade though, so I ended up getting out of it. I didn't ride it. I rode about half of the big move up, but I still made money on it. But Apple was just a day trade. I'm still in Amazon. I'm still in HIMS. I'm still in United Health. I'm still in PayPal, and I'm green on all of them. Nicely green on all of them. Hey, what's up? Higher jobless claims means it's more of an economic look, Jacob, but it means more people are filing for unemployment week to week than expected. Today, if you read the bottom of the screen, they're expecting 221,000. Last time was 218, so they are expecting an uptick relative to what they showed last time. And so that's kind of where we're at now. He said trade deals are largely done. Regarding Bessent's quotes. Bessent said, again, just to reiterate what Bessent's been saying on MSNBC this morning, he said trade deals are largely done. Micron is going to put in $200 billion. Regulation push U.S. manufacturing offshore. The biggest trade reset was the China shock, and this is not the biggest trade reset since 1935. He said there's a chance 2026 tariff revenue could be over 300 billion, and 300 billion is a good start for annual tariff revenue estimates. So we got that as well. Bank of England Governor Bailey in the post-meeting statement says there have been substantial disinflation. Domestic price and wage pressures have continued. If Besson says anything else, but we're kind of covering everything he said. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, we ended up posting this to our X page. Kind of flat though. I mean, we're not really moving that much. MU's up after that 100 billion or that 200 billion quote by Bassett, the White House. Reddit likely to break highs today. Yeah, we don't know how the market's going to react. What we do know is that higher jobless claims means more people filing for unemployment week to week. And we had some earnings this morning, so we did have earnings. We had QBTS Quantum stock negative 55 loss per share, 55 cent negative per share versus 6 cent loss per share expected, a negative 817 cent surprise. Revenue came in better than expected though. Eli Lilly BDPS and beat revenue. Celsius BDPS beat revenue. ConocoPhillips BDPS and missed revenue. Datadog BDPS beat revenue. Sony missed revenue but BDPS. Hut 8 Mining BDPS and missed revenue as well. A lot of misses in revenue this morning. But Crocs BDPS beat revenue again. Yeah, and we had some earnings yesterday. Nothing crazy big, though. All right, so look at this breakdown. We're now under 23.6. All right, so the president just posted. The president said some form. So the president said now that the nuclear arsenal being created by Iran has been totally obliterated, it's very important to me that all Middle Eastern countries join the Abraham Accords. This will ensure peace in the Middle East. End quote. Again, I'm not saying I agree with this. That the president just posted on social media, and so that's what happened. All right, guys, we got less than an hour here. Look at this breakdown. We're at 585s. I don't know if we're breaking down because of we got Governor Bailey speaking. But I don't think Governor Bailey's breaking the market down. I think this is probably the president's quotes. We are at the 200 exponential right now, though. We did a poll, 62% think higher than expected jobless claims. Still break it down. Look at that bounce right there at that level I drew here. It's also the 200 exponential, but look at this. 585. Okay, so we did bounce at that 585 level. MU gave it all back already. Bitcoin's starting to pull back. All right, so yeah, another mixed day of morning earnings here. Lots of revenue misses. And some quantum margin dips. These include QBTS missed by a pretty big margin at 55 cents versus 6 cent loss expected. Eli Lilly, Celsius, and more. Peloton posted slightly better than expected EPS and better than expected revenue as well. So Peloton actually beat, which is good. Sony, Hut 8 beat as well. In some ways it missed revenue. All right, we're still breaking down. I'm watching that 585 level. All right. All right, so we're now dipping underneath. So the president says CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. So the president just said the CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. I don't know if I mean, yeah, I think it's a tough one for this. I don't know much. Brookfield Corporation, Lunar. KVUE. Let's see if Intel's dipping down on this. Yeah, look at Intel drop on the president's quotes here. Gold coming back down too. But Intel actually dipped a lot on this. Intel's been kind of weird to invest in, though. It's been a hard stock to like make money with. I mean, there's no maximum time. It's a monthly subscription, though, Robert. Yeah, we got jobless claims unemployment filings going live in 47 minutes, guys. Look, we're still bouncing at this 585 level. I'm looking maybe for anything cheap you guys see this morning. I know Quantum's pulling back some. All right, Treasury Secretary Bassett says something is wrong when the Fed does not cut and then jobs are revised. Notes the president has said he is not going to fire Powell. Yeah, of course he's not going to fire Powell. Powell's supposed to resign in May. Again, the optics look bad. Like, that's what you got to understand. It's optics. It's optics related. All right, let's try to trade a little bit. I mean, we wanted this bounce, and we kind of got it, but I didn't take it. I should have taken the trade. A lot of big momentum on the upside here. Treasury Secretary Bessent said we already started the interview process on the Fed chair. See how long he speaks. I thought he was done, but I guess he's going to keep speaking. All right, look at that 605 level. I was really thinking about shorting it too. Yeah, it's the tariff deadline today too. PSN was upgraded at Baird. FT&T downgraded at lots of different brokers as well. Let's see if there's any more. Bank of England is hawkish and expects higher inflation than in May. We have changed our forecast for rate cuts at monetary policy radar as well. All right, so there's the end of Bessent's remarks. Yeah, so Bessent's done talking. Let's see if we get some trades in. I kind of want to buy this dip, but I also understand, like, we've already tested 585 multiple times in the 200 exponential. So if I buy it, I kind of want to buy it up here, right here. We'll get into one, and then maybe, I don't know what we're going to do with this. It's very small. I'm going to add to it right here. See if we retrace back up. 585 is my risk. We'll try to just sit in this. Again, not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. I might lose. And trade off stream, you might not see it. Understand CFDC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable. Don't copy me. With that said out the way, we're basically flat on this position. Intel continues to break down. MU has kind of given back some of the gains that it made. Gold's still falling down a little bit. Okay, so Bank of England Governor Bailey in the Q&A said that rates are definitely still on a downward path. So reiterating dovishness. A lot of people are saying they're more hawkish. Lombardelli in the bank from the Bank of England said food inflation is higher than they expected. Food prices are going to carry on rising. Food has a salient role in inflation expectations. Where do you see the jobs report coming out? Right here. I mean, you can see it right here. We're going to cover jobless claims unemployment as soon as it comes out live at 8:30 in about 45 minutes, 43 minutes, or whatever it is. It's expected at, if you read the bottom of the screen, it's expected at 221,000. Last time was 218K. Jobless claims come out every Thursday. Previous was 218. They're expecting 221 today, so a little bit better. Yeah, Bailey said policy is still restrictive as well. Everything excluded from the CPI. Yeah, CPI is next week as well. It's at the beginning of next week for CPI inflation. Next week's crazy too. We got a lot of stuff. Alright, so we're kind of waiting here. If the claims are higher than last time but lower than expected, is that more positive than negative? That is variance heavy, right? Like how the market interprets the data, nobody knows, right? And even if you know what the data is going to be, you don't know which way the market's going to go either. And so nobody really knows which way the market's going to go based off of this data. Nobody knows if the data, I would say anything that's neutral month to month, meaning the increase is small month to month, or slightly lower, slightly higher month to month, is relatively neutral. Expectations matter, but we could go anyway. Most of the moves happening right now is getting baked in prior to it. So we really don't know which way the market's going to go. We don't know how the market's going to respond or react to this either. So Bailey said on the risk of a recession, says it is not something that they see and spend time explicitly discussing. Yeah, the market's unpredictable is basically what it is. Nobody knows. Now, nobody's going to be able to answer that question. I would say generally people look at expectations, but they also take into account the increase relative to last time. And last time we came in at 218. Today we're expecting 221, so about a 3,000 more unemployment filing update from last time, basically, is what we're looking at. But again, it doesn't mean anything. It could go the other way. I'm trying to stay like patient in this, but the range is honestly not that small today. The range is actually pretty large. We bounced off the 200 exponential again. About being higher for longer in terms of rates. Yeah, I mean, that's going to combat inflation more than anything else. What is better for cuts? Weak economic data, higher unemployment data, higher jobless claims, I mean. So you got to think about, if you want rate cuts, you got to think of something that tells the story of a weak labor market. What tells the story of a weak labor market? Higher jobless claims, unemployment filings. And so that's kind of where it's at. All right, so now we're green here, but we're kind of been flat a lot on this trade. I'm trying to hold and let this bounce. But it's kind of going back and forth here to a point in which I'm going to cut half of this break even right there. And then I'm just going to wait. It'll give me a little bit more loose time. I just don't trust this. And yeah. Looks like it was the right move, but you never know. We're so sideways right now. I don't want to hold this through jobless claims. Wonder how many of those jobs are replaced by AI. I would say some of them, you know. Yeah, I'm going to cut this too. It might bounce right here at 585, but it's just kind of, it's too choppy for me to really want to ride this. And I'd rather get out with a very small loss than risk. Yeah, risk a larger loss. And look, there's the big breakdown. So it looks like cutting the trade where I did was smart. I'll take it. Looks like we might flush down here, but you never know. If we reject 585 now. Yeah, I mean, AI is going to replace a lot of jobs, but jobs are going to be created from it as well. You know, like it's kind of a system in which it's going to replace a lot of jobs, and jobs are going to get created as well. So we'll see what happens. But Nvidia back up to 182s this morning. Looks pretty solid. Bitcoin back up a little bit today as well. All right, so Deputy Governor Ramsden says the market focus on long-term fiscal sustainability is good regarding the Bank of England. Intel's dumping. Yeah, well, the president said the Intel CEO needs to resign, is what he said, essentially. And so Intel is going to be falling down on this report. Nvidia up, though. You guys see any cheap stocks that are worth buying up this morning? You guys see anything? Again, yesterday we bought Hims, Apple, Amazon, UNH a few days ago. Yeah, we bought Hims, Apple, PayPal, and we're very green on all of them. And so, yeah, you'll have to see it. PayPal had one of the bigger moves up, man. PayPal ripped up. I bought it at 68. It's at 70 now. And it's still pushing up this morning in pre-market. But PayPal, again, we bought it way down here at 68 yesterday. And yesterday in pre-market is where we bought it, like right down here. And look at this rip yesterday too. So we got a really cheap entry from PayPal. I'll probably stay in it, let it work a little bit more. Crocs. Didn't Crocs have earnings that were good? Oh, whoa, Crocs is down. To be honest, though, Crocs is a little bit too fashionable for me. It is down a lot, though. Crocs is down, what, like 20% right now? So that is a pretty significant dip. What's the PE ratio of Crocs? Okay, so the Bank of England's MPR analysis points to an estimated 10-year yield increase by quantitative tightening over the February 22 to end June 25 period of 15 to 25 basis points. The balance of QT in 2024 and 25 was particularly skewed to maturities rather than sales, and the quantity of maturities will fall back in the coming years. The size of the APF will fall to 558 billion by September of this year. Market intelligence suggests that market participants' bank rate expectations have not been affected by QT announcements. Sales have been gradual, predictable, and only conducted in appropriate market conditions, and there have been no marked effect of market liquidity. The impact of QT on yields between Feb 2022, which is the start and the end of it, in June 2025, over the period, 10-year yields increased by 325 basis points. Yeah, so again, this is the Bank of England speaking here. Okay, so the PE ratio of Crocs, the trailing PE is only 644. 644. Are Crocs not being cool anymore? The problem with Crocs is it's fashion. All right, like I'll buy a little bit of Crocs down here just because it reacted really negatively to earnings. I'll buy a very small amount of Crocs down here. But it's fashion, so I'm not investing in Crocs, to be honest. How much is the dividend? They got to pay a dividend, right, with a low PE ratio of 6 to 7. I already bought PayPal yesterday. I bought United Health yesterday or the day before. I made money in both of those. Crocs doesn't pay a dividend. And they manufacture. Intel's still breaking down here. Yeah, no, I bought UNH day before yesterday. I thought it was cheap too. Yeah, so Crocs now outsources its manufacturing. They're made in Vietnam, China, Bosnia, Romania, Indonesia, and Mexico. So the tariffs are bad for Crocs. That might be why Crocs is down so much. Yeah, Crocs is exposed to tariffs, especially on imports from China, Vietnam, and other southeastern Asian nations, where much of its production is outsourced. They heavily rely on imports. Their margin compression risks. Tariffs could shrink those margins. Yeah, so their impact potential is high. Very high. It's tariff sensitive. That's probably why Crocs is negatively reacting so much, even though it beat EPS and revenue. I'm not saying Crocs are fashionable. What I'm saying is that they're a fashion company. And so I got into this conversation regarding Lululemon years ago with a couple different people. And since I've gotten to this conversation, Lululemon has dropped from $500 a share down to under $200. And I tried to tell people, like, you have to understand the nature of sales over the last 5 years to understand what happened to Lululemon. It's a story in markets. It really is a story in markets, right? So 2020 happened, people got stuck at home. And so what became really, really fashionable after people got stuck at home? Yoga pants, because they're sitting at home. Leisure wear is what it's called. Oversized sweatshirts, yoga pants. You know, Lululemon was probably the king of, or the queen, I should say, of that fashion style. And so for a few years, everybody wore that, and they still kind of do. And Lululemon was raking in sales, you know. But Lululemon is a relatively new fashion company. I'm not going to invest in it like it's freaking Apple or Amazon or Walmart. You know, it's just not, it hasn't been around enough. It's not a legacy brand. It's new. It's new. It charges a lot. And something that you see is that people are buying Lululemon less and less and less now. Why? Because that fashion sense, that fashion style of leisure wear is kind of slowly and slowly fading away. And now we're seeing like baggy jeans and all these other things, right? And I tried to explain, like, I don't invest in fashion companies like this because trends change. What's cool changes year to year to year. And so, and sometimes it comes back. But I'm not going to invest in this like it's some Mag 7 or index or something like that. And a lot of people disagreed with me. You know, a lot of people said, oh, no, I'm putting my money in Lululemon for my kids' college savings or whatever it is. And now Lululemon's down 60+% from where it was. It's just predictable. And it's the same thing with Crocs, right? Like, I'm not going to invest heavy into Crocs either. Why? Because while Crocs might be cool now, I don't really know if they are or not. They're probably not going to be cool in 5 years. And so I'm not going to put too much money in there. Okay, so the Russian president on meeting with the US president said interest was mutual. So that news just came out. Yeah. Yeah, let's take a look at yields. I haven't really looked at yields this morning. Yields are still slightly elevated. Yields have been kind of climbing up since the 5th. They had this big downturn after the labor report. So here's yields. And remember, yields and interest rates mirror each other to a certain extent, right? So Ralph Lauren just posted this earnings too. But yeah, yields and interest rates mirror each other. So the really weak labor report we had Friday that had the 250,000 labor 260,000 labor revision dumped yields down because of a weak economic report and more weak outlook for the economy. And so this made lower interest rates much higher probability. This made rate cuts much more on the table and increased odds for it for sure in September. And so yields are still down from that, but over the last few days, they've been slowly going up, slowly going up. We still have a 91% chance of a rate cut in September as of now after this labor report on last Friday. And today's the first economic report look since then, right? So today we have the jobless claims unemployment filing report in about 28 minutes, 27 minutes. And that's going to be an interesting look at where we're at. So Lulu came out in 1998 and went public in 07. That might be true. I'm not saying they haven't been out for a long time. I'm saying they haven't been incredibly popular for a long time. They might have been around, you know, but again, they haven't been like deeply popular for a long time. For like legacy wise, you know, they might have been a small niche brand. It's not like Nike or a lot of other stuff. And regardless of how long they've been around, like that, they're missing the point of the argument. The argument's not they've been around a long time. The argument is it's fashion, and fashion changes. And one of the things about Lululemon is the style that Lululemon does is too polarized to one specific thing, right? And so when that one specific thing is not cool anymore, what happens? Lululemon's not cool anymore. And so, yeah, they could pivot and change to something else. There's too much risk. There's too much risk of investing in that long term. And again, I'm like that with most fashion companies. I'm not really interested in putting my money long term into fashion brands. I think that's ridiculous. The fashion is too trendy. Trends change. I'm not trying to have that exposure. Yeah, Palantir is still making moves. Again, Intel down after the president said the CEO needs to retire. Palantir up to over 180s. Again, Nvidia at 180s as well. Apple doing really well at 220s this morning, doing very, very good. Yeah, I was thinking about buying NVO yesterday, but I didn't. I should have maybe bought it. Look at that move for NVO, up to $50 a share, $49 a share. All right, so look at this breakdown here. Here's 575s. Bounced right off of it. Do you think tomorrow will be a red day since its reciprocal tariffs will go into effect midnight tonight? I'm not sure. Possible. I really don't know. How do you feel about American Eagle up 20% all because of... Yeah, I think people in general need to stop being so... Like, if a person's conventionally attractive, it's not wrong to say they have good genes, you know? And on the same end as if a Latino person's conventionally attractive, it's not wrong to say they have good genes either. You know? And I think people that are genuinely upset about that, I think that's what's causing American Eagle to go up. And so it's kind of backfiring on them. You know? And so be less sensitive if you don't want American Eagle to go up. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but... All right, so look at this bounce. We bounced right here at 575s. We bounced exactly off of that 575 level. Let's see if we keep going up. Intel at 1950s. Yeah, I don't like American Eagle as a company either, though. I think American Eagle's mostly fading out. I wore American Eagle when I was young, you know. I didn't even know people still wore them, to be honest. Like, this was like mid 2000s. All the cool kids, you know, wore American Eagle and Hollister and Abercrombie and all that stuff. I didn't even know they were still around. So Bank of England Governor Bailey says the Fed Chair Powell is a friend of his and has the utmost integrity. Will not comment otherwise on what is happening in the U.S. Says uncertainty is elevated, not quite as high as it was in May. The tariff situation is not over. So a little bit more pessimism regarding inflation potential from the tariffs by the Bank of England Governor Bailey here. All right, so we're starting to rise up. We're at 593s, almost 594s. Big rebound right there at 575. Back over the 200 exponential. NVO starting to dip down. I'm still watching like Nvidia here and others. Nvidia's ripping up though. Look at Nvidia. Up to almost 182s. I don't know if this is on Bailey's comments. Yeah, this is mostly Nvidia rising here. Look at Nvidia. Yeah, when I was like a really young kid, it was like Jinkos. Kind of what they're wearing now, honestly. It was like Jinkos, oversized shirts, wallet chains, skateboard shoes. And I skateboarded anyway, so a lot of the people were kind of posers doing it. But I actually skateboarded. And so I used to wear baggy jeans, DC or Etnies, you know. And now it looks like that styles are cyclical, so now that style has come back now. And again, I'm not doing it. I told Carol I'm not wearing baggy jeans, like hyper baggy jeans anymore. I just can't do it. It looks too desperate to be cool. No offense. I'm not judging you. If you're back wearing those baggy jeans. I've already lived that life once. I'm not doing it again. I'm just kind of wearing somewhere in the middle now. Intel rebounded a little bit. It's at 1970s as we speak. 1970s. We'll see. Again, I'm not buying Intel. I just don't like Intel as a stock. It's just, it moves a little bit too unpredictably. Again, Ramsden says principles of how the Bank of England conducts quantitative tightening has not changed. The bank rate is the active tool. Sales will not disrupt financial markets and will be conducted in a gradual and predictable manner. Again, that was the Bank of England governor, deputy governor. All right, guys, we got 20 minutes until jobless claims unemployment filings come out. We'll see what we get. A little bit less than that, about 18 minutes actually. NASDAQ is very slow, very choppy. Nvidia ripped up and then pulled back. Intel's down on the president's quotes. Other microchip stocks like MU have gone up and then back down, and so very consolidated action here today for markets. We're not really moving much. A lot of stuff's up, but we're not really going anywhere outside of that. The markets are mostly green as well on the big news of like the there's a lot of stuff going on today, but specifically semiconductor tariffs are going to be exempt if they start domestic production. And so a lot of companies that people thought would be down on some of these tariffs are now up, and that includes Apple is up big. And essentially what he said, the president said he plans to impose a 100% tariff on semiconductor imports, but there's going to be exemptions to companies that invest in U.S. manufacturing. And of course, yesterday, Apple committed to like $100 billion domestically. And so Apple's one of the biggest winners today. Again, Apple all the way up at 220s. So Apple with a big move on the upside. These include Apple, Taiwan Semiconductors, Nvidia, and others committing to domestic production. And then other countries are going to be seeking exemptions as well, including European Union, Japan, South Korea. A little bit more optimism than people thought. Bitcoin is up. The current administration unveiled a new roadmap aimed at integrating crypto into everyday finance. Regulatory role clarification for CFTC and the SEC, and they further lifting sentiment through a executive order that's going to allow cryptocurrency investments in 401k retirement plans. A little bit more conventional of a financial role for Bitcoin there. And markets are mostly up, but kind of sideways. The market might be waiting on this report. We got 16 minutes left, and so we'll see what we get. Where's Coin at? I know Coin was down a lot the last time I looked at it. It's up a little bit. It's at 311s. It's still down. Like Coinbase longer term chart looks rough. Not long term chart, but like medium term. A big dip for Coinbase. And look, here's an hourly chart. It's at 444 mid-July. It's at 3s now, so down a lot still for Coinbase. Amazon's up. I bought Amazon yesterday, and we are up nicely in Amazon. We've already taken profit, though. Our average price is 212s in Amazon. It's at 220s today, so we got into a really nice dip buy yesterday, buying the dip. Remember, we bought Amazon, Apple, United Health, Hims, which is up a lot this morning, as well as, what do we buy? We bought Amazon, Crocs, Hims, PayPal, United Health. Or no, we bought Crocs this morning. But we bought Amazon, Hims, PayPal, United Health, and Apple yesterday. And all of that's green. All of that's green. And we've already taken a lot of profit in it to where we're not going to be red in any of this. We've just taken too much profit from it. Celsius earnings. Celsius is up big. It's at 51s. Again, the problem I have with Celsius, and I don't really have a big problem with it, but the problem I see is that energy drinks can be trendy as well. What I mean by that is, like, you got to think about what's cool. Red Bull was big, and then Monster's big still, and then it went to like Bang energy drink was big for a while, and then they got sued and lost a bunch of money, and now Celsius is big now too. But I see some trendy nature, like some trendiness of energy drinks. And so I'm a little bit more reluctant to invest in energy drink companies because of that. You know, what happens when the next big energy drink comes out and everybody kind of pivots from Celsius to whatever that is? And that's too much exposure to me. But again, it's a very subjective thing. Like, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Celsius is that next big generational multiple decade long brand success. That's certainly possible. I'm just not really interested in buying it right now. Yeah, again, I'm not saying y'all are wrong. I just don't trust it. And the pullback from $100 all the way down to 40s, I don't know. I think when I invest in things and when I buy things, I have to be strict and kind of rigid with it. So. Yeah, so Eli Lilly is down. Look at us rip right now. What's driving this move? It's not Apple. What's pushing the market up this morning? It's not Apple. Google's going up. What's rebounding the market right now? Meta, Netflix. I can't tell what it is. Dude, the scammers are freaking out. Bitcoin, brother. Yeah, no, I see Bitcoin up this morning. All right, guys, 13 minutes. More persistent than Aquafina for Celsius. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. Yeah, I saw ASML the last few days. I kind of missed the rebound though, huh? I was thinking about it when it happened. It's still down a lot on a daily chart. I guess it's not that bad. If we get a dip today, I might buy ASML. The problem is the longer term trend is a little... It's volatile. It's gone from $1,100. It's down over 30% in the last year for ASML. It's down 30% in a year. That's a longer term downtrend that makes me nervous. I said it yesterday. When I'm buying these swing trade dip buys, I don't, or even like longer term investments, I don't really like buying companies that have longer term confirmed downtrends. I would rather buy companies that they're down over like a 6-month period, but not a year plus. That's a little bit more sketchy to me. Grab. Grab's too much of like a penny stock for me. I don't really know what this is or what it does. I just don't really want to invest in that. I just don't know enough about it. What's up, Chef? AVGO. I mean, AVGO is up from 280s all the way to 300s today. It's up roughly over 7%. It's up almost 8 or 9% in the last couple days. It's just up a lot, and it's around all-time highs. So I'm not really trying to buy it at all-time highs. Again, I know I'm kind of rejecting a lot of these stocks, and I'm not against you. If you're making money, and you might make money in some of these that I'm rejecting, I'm very rigid with what I like, with what I buy, and I think I have to be. I don't want to buy something at all-time highs right now. It's just too extended on the upside. I'd rather buy something that's down over a 3 to 4 month period, but that I think is a good long-term company. And so. All right, so watch this 23.6 level. We got less than 10 minutes, about 9 minutes left. Wolf buyout, maybe. Well, the Apple news confirms it's going to be exempt from some of these tariffs that had people really nervous and selling it. And so, like, the Apple news, the 100 billion domestic investment is going to make it exempt to the tariffs to a certain extent because it's committing to domestic manufacturing. And so, and doing a deal like that is big for them, and that obviously made them go up. You know? It's gonna, their margins are gonna be worse here for sure, but you know. Yeah, QBTS missed a bunch, right? Yeah, they're down to 16s. And I think it kind of shows like Quantum might be a little bit farther on its way out, you know? Like Quantum is incredibly fragile, incredibly expensive. All All right, guys, so we're gonna put gold up here, or we're gonna put like the dollar index up. I want to see what this does. The Dixie here. We might put up like Nvidia on the bottom, and we'll see how the market responds. We got about 7 minutes left until jobless claims unemployment goes live. I mean, I could just short the market if I wanted, Matthew. I'm just not really interested in shorting at all-time highs either. I'd rather just not do anything and just find underrepresented stocks. All right, guys, we got about 6 minutes. Nasdaq's pushing up though. Dollar index is falling. Gold is falling down a little bit. Nvidia is pushing up some, with the rest of tech here today. All right, guys, we got very little time until this report. All right, guys. AVGO pushing up, Nvidia pushing up. QBTS still breaking down. HIMS is kind of flat. GameStop holding 1,000 shares. Hey, good luck, bro. GameStop was supposed to get another run. It's still under 23. Just lost some hype here. Again, we got less than 5 minutes, chat. What do we get? Give me your last minute predictions. Higher or lower unemployment claims today? Look at that rejection at 605. Higher or lower unemployment claims, chat. Let me know. Very flat market here. Here's the 200 exponential. We got these levels that are holding really nice, but kind of a flat market. Let's see. Higher, higher, lower, higher, higher. We'll see. Yeah, make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. If you put it in 2x speed, you'll make sure you're real time with the stream as well. 4 minutes, chat. All right, guys. We got about 3.5 minutes. Bad data good for markets or rate cuts. Yeah, I mean, higher data will signal more of a need to cut rates, more of a negative look at the labor market, and more justification in rate cuts. And so it's possible that that makes the market react positively. It's also possible we go the other way with it, and a weak economy is a weak economy. It makes people, it makes kind of renewed recession and labor market weakness fears. And again, yields are slightly elevated today, although we're still down big from the labor report that we got on Friday. So 3 minutes left until jobless claims unemployment report. Well, Nvidia and all that stuff is climbing because of optimism in AI, as well as a lot of microchip stocks are up today on after they've basically committed to domestic production, and so they're going to avoid some of the tariffs is what's going on. Yeah, Nvidia earnings are going to be huge for markets. All right, 3 minutes. Again, we're expected at 221,000 for jobless claims unemployment filings. Chat, 221K. Last time was 218K, so we are expected to uptick slightly relative to last time. But let's be ready. All right, here we go. A minute and a half left, chat. We got almost 2,000 here. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. What number you guys think? 100% good job numbers, because whoever delivers bad numbers. Nah. Maybe, I don't know. All right, guys, we got a little bit over a minute left. $50 seconds. Again, put it in 2x speed and hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream. We appreciate it. Again, put it in 2x speed. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. It's the final countdown. 40 seconds. Gold's ripping up ahead of this report at 34.50s here. 34.50s. $20 seconds. Timer's a little bit early. We're a little early with this timer. All right, about 10 seconds left here, Chad. Here we go. All right, let's see what this report shows. Again, here's the report. Good luck, chat. 2, 1, and here's the report now. Waiting for it. Waiting for it. All right, non-farm productivity came in at 2.4% versus 1.9% expected. Jobless claims came higher than expected at 226 versus 221 expected. Again, 226K versus 221K expected. Previous of 218K. That's bad. That's gonna make the market react. I mean, this might increase the odds of rate cuts. This might increase the odds of rate cuts. We'll see. 226 versus 221 expected, previous of 218. Honestly, this is making the market react positively to it. Again, 226 versus 221 expected, higher than expected, showing more people filing for unemployment than expected. Continuing claims also showed 1.974 versus 1.95 expected. So higher than expected continuing and initial claims for jobless claims unemployment. So noticeably higher than expected unemployment claims. I'll put this data up in chat. And again, very interesting here. Again, we can look at the U.S. Department of Labor report that just dropped. Again, look at this report here. So we're taking a look at it. In the week ending August 2nd, the advanced figure for seasonally adjusted claims was 226, an increase of 7,000 from the previous week's revised level. It was revised up by 1,000 from 218 to 219. The 4-week moving average was 220.75, a decrease of 500 from the previous week. The previous week's average was revised up by 250 from 221 to 221.250. Advanced seasonally adjusted insured unemployment rate 1.3% for the week ending July 26, unchanged from the previous week's unrevised rate. And so again, slightly higher than expected jobless claims numbers. The market honestly has reacted positively to this report. I'll put the data up on screen. Most likely because it means increased odds of rate cuts in September, and I think that's what the market wants. Right, so again, we'll put this up on screen. We'll put the continuing claims. And it was revised as well, higher. Actually, I think it was revised a little bit lower for continuing claims. Let me see. All right, so there's the data on screen at the bottom. But yeah. Let's take a look at the rate cut odds, and let's take a look at yields on this report. Let's see if yields are falling. It should make yields fall. Weaker economic data should make yields fall. What? There we go. Yeah, yields are down on this report. So look, here's yields. Yields are falling down here. The report dropped. Maybe they haven't updated it for today. We can take a look at TNE or TNX. We're down a little bit on this report, but not much. But I'm assuming yields are going to be falling on this report. It shows weaker economics. Let's see if the odds of a rate cut have increased at all. And so the probability, 91% still. We could refresh this just to make sure. Yeah, still 91%. This might change moving forward, though. Gold is spiking up higher on this report, and we kind of saw the gold movement a little bit earlier. Yeah, we'll see. I think September Powell is going to cut rates, most likely. If he doesn't, I think it's going to be an ish show, if you know what I mean. But we'll see. You never know. I mean, if we get... Here's the thing, okay? If next week we get higher CPI inflation than expected, as well as from last time, if we get an increase in inflation data next week for CPI on Tuesday and PPI on Thursday, if we get increased odds and increased inflation, that's going to reduce the odds of rate cuts in September, if that happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if we get increased inflation next week for CPI, which is a big CPI, which is a big inflation report, that's going to negatively impact the rate cut odds for September. It's going to make the odds decrease for a September cut, and it's going to make bond yields go up, not down. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you're saying, James, but you're absolutely wrong. So, again, we are currently at 425 and 450. You can see the current rate down here. So this is the pause. And based off of what Powell says, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near 100% chance. Look, here's where we currently are now. We're at 425 to 450. Current. This is 425 to 450. This is a pause. This is a cut. We are 90+% likely to cut in September. About 9% likely to pause. But it's not a 50 basis point cut. A 50 basis point cut isn't even on the table for September, according to this. Yeah, and again, hit the like button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream. We'll see what the market does. It did spark some volatility here. And we'll see if we keep getting better data in. But yeah, that's where we're at now. All right, so we're starting to push back up. Look at gold, though. One of the big net reactions from this is gold. Gold is increasing fast. So, yeah, let's end this poll here. Let's end this, increase this poll. Or let's do another poll here. So what's a good poll right now? What's a good question? What do you guys think? Let me know in chat right now. What should I do with the poll? I bought rates in September greater than 4% at $94 or 94 cents on the prediction market. How is that not a guaranteed return? Gold is flying. Yeah, gold up to all-time highs for gold. Remember, just over 3,500. We're at 3,460s. Gold's pushing towards all-time highs as well. UFC? Is John Jones the GOAT? No, I'm just joking. Will we cut rates in September is going to be the question. Yes or no? Will we cut rates in September? Vote. Jones is the GOAT, especially of light heavyweight. I don't know about heavyweight. He needs to fight Tom for heavyweight, but he's definitely, I would say he's got the best record in MMA. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. If you want to learn to day trade, do not fund your own account tens of thousands of dollars and risk that. It makes absolutely no sense to. Instead, try Top Step. Top Step gives you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month. If you fail, you're out $50. It's not the end of the world. If you pass it, they fund you 50K, 90% split, and they pay out millions, fund thousands of traders. They pay out millions in actual payouts. And it's just the best way to get around the PDT rule. There's no PDT rule in futures. It's $50 a month to get started. If you pass it, you get a 90% split. 50K funded account, 90% split for the base one. And so your risk is $50. Your reward is similar to funding your own account at 90% split. And you get to keep your first 10K. If you use Top Step X, there's zero commission as well. And if you take a look, their new dashboard is out. Chat, their new dashboard is out. This is their new dashboard. Powerful new dashboard, to be honest. Like, check it out. And it just kind of, it makes everything better. Like, look, here's for a combine. It just makes everything better. It makes it easier. It's faster, smoother. It's clean. Now you get one free reset every month when your subscription rebuilds. You can use it, bank it. Instant XFA activation, so you can activate your funded account as soon as you hit your payout target. You can track your payouts on Top Step X now, or on Top Step's dashboard. You can track payouts. There's instant payout deductions. Resets extend your rebuild date as well. And so if you buy a reset, it extends your rebuild date by 30 extra days. You get performance stats, KYC verification, payout statuses and certificates, and more. And so just really powerful new dashboard for them. I'll put the link up. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased because I get paid by them. And top 3 most biased ever, but genuinely useful for traders. Genuinely useful for traders. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. Great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose money regardless of where they go, including here. Frankly, it's a lot cheaper to lose here. You're learning in a structured environment, and if you fail, you're out $50 versus funding thousands of dollars into your own account like most new day traders end up doing and losing. But again, I'm biased. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Sometimes I trade and lose off stream. You might not see it. There's the link for Top Step if you want to check them out. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. So Novo, which is up huge this morning. Novo's up to almost $50 a share. The head of U.S. operations says their Beyond Weight Loss marketing campaign in the U.S. was premature. In June, they switched their messaging back to focus on weight loss. That is what doctors and patients are primarily looking for, according to them. And again, Novo has been dipping down some. Was it Novo? I know a company came out this morning that said that their weight loss drug did not meet some of their trial data that they were looking for necessarily. Was it Novo that had that data come out? Oh, Eli Lilly. You're right. That's Eli Lilly. I'm sorry. I was getting Novo and Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly, they're down pretty significantly here. I don't like their long-term trend either. They're kind of negative on the year. They've been downtrending since 2024. Although, I don't know. This might be an option to dip by. It's just up so much. The market's so flat right now, though, guys. Look at this. We'll day trade the opening bell, but... yeah, Lilly down a lot. NASDAQ is so choppy, though, chat. We're not really doing anything. Yeah, give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades. We cover all this stuff live as soon as it drops. So, like, anything that's relevant market news, we tend to post. All right, looking at our poll, we asked people, will we cut rates in September? 75% say yes, 25% say no. Let's see if the odds have changed. Yeah, so look, the rate cuts have the rate cut odds have increased again. So remember, last time we looked at it, it was roughly 91% chance of a 25 basis point cut. It's now over 93% chance that we cut rates in September. Again, the only thing that's going to change this data, there's I would say there's three things that could potentially change these odds in a big significant way. Really, there's four things prior that could change these odds. Okay, we get another non-farm payroll report early next month, on the first Friday of next month. That is before the September, when's the meeting next month? So we get a couple economic reports that could wildly influence these odds. Okay, the next cut is going to be potentially on September 17th if these things don't happen. We have GDP data coming out next month. If GDP data shows a stronger economy for quarter two than expected, last time it showed what, 2.1%? If that changes, that might influence it. We have payroll data is the first Friday of next month. If those come in super strong, that might change the odds of a rate cut. We have CPI and PPI inflation data next week. So we have the consumer price index and the producer price index. They're two sides of the same inflation coin. If that data comes in higher than expected, that might decrease the odds of a rate cut. And then we also, there's a lot of stuff that we have, to be honest. And then what was the last one? We said payrolls, CPI, PPI, inflation. Oh, and then PCE inflation this month. So we do have another PCE inflation report, which is actually the Fed's preferred inflation metric. When is the next PCE report? Next PCE report will be August 29th, about 3 weeks prior to the Fed meeting and decision next month in September. If PCE inflation comes in elevated, that might decrease the odds of rate cuts, right? So we still have a whole gang and an array of inflation data and economic reports coming out prior to this meeting next month that could increase the odds. But as of now, we're at 93% likely. 93%. Yeah, CPI next week. Yeah, for sure. CPI is big. It's not the Fed's preferred inflation metric, but the market pays attention to it, and that's gonna eventually lead on to the Fed paying attention to CPI. They at least watch CPI for sure, but PCE is technically what they say they look at. But I'm sure they watch both of them. And again, taking a look at yields from this report, we should have lower yields. Yeah, yields have decreased some from this report. Not a lot, but some. They really dropped from about 4.235 to 4.233. It's a very small percentage dip in yields, but still a dip nonetheless. We almost had 2,000 people here for the jobless claims report. I appreciate you guys tuning in to me. Shout out to you guys. Thanks so much. All right, so Brazil Suzano says it has built up enough paper stocks in the U.S. to last until the end of the year to avoid tariffs. NASDAQ still very flat, not really moving some. We're kind of mixed. NVIDIA's starting to push up, though. So if you look at NVIDIA here, NVIDIA almost up to 182s. It's been on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minute upswing, testing the top of the range. NASDAQ starting to push up as well. I know we had some MU good news, microchip good news. Apple's up really big. So is Amazon, relative to yesterday at least. So Amazon and Apple up pretty significantly. Hey, thank you, Leon. John, you think a change in SEC chair will actually shift us into a bullish momentum, or is it smoke and mirrors? I think the logic of the SEC chair, or not the SEC chair, wait, are you talking about the SEC chair or the FOMC chairman? Which one are you talking about? You could be talking about SEC chairman regarding crypto. But I don't think they're switching out Adkins anytime soon, are they? I'm assuming you mean the FOMC chairman. Hey, thank you, Kay, my guy. Thank you, brother. Yeah, the Fed chairman. Yeah, so the logic of like right now, according to the president, and again, I'm very moderate on all this stuff. I'm very neutral. I'm not really super polarized on either side of the political spectrum. I'm really not. I'm very neutral. Look at the NASDAQ start to push up though. And so I think the argument is that by bringing in another FOMC chairman, they're going to be more likely to do what the president wants them to do, which is at this point in time, lower interest rate and stimulate the economy. Now, lowering rates is generally seen as a good thing right now. The biggest risks are inflation, and we've seen a lot of inflation over the past 5 years. So over the past 5 years, we had 2020 lockdowns, stimulus checks, a lot of quantitative easing, money printing, and low interest rate, in rate cuts by the Federal Reserve after 2020. And to a certain extent, it was justified, at least some, because, we were in 2020, people weren't working, people were stressing and panicking, and we were heading towards a deeper recession and depression if we didn't stimulate, cut rates, print a little bit. And so, but because of all that stuff, again, it was supply chain, the stimulus, QE, all that stuff kind of made us spike inflation. It's kind of made inflation spike. By 2022, prices had gone up a lot in a lot of areas. And again, to a certain extent, I say this at least once or twice a week. To a certain extent, that's why people are still unhappy modern age right now, is because of the price increases we saw in 2020 by 2022 from all that stuff. You can't send people money for free without prices rising. And that's why people are still unhappy modern age. And again, to a certain extent, that's Powell's argument, which is that price stability is more important than anything. But I think especially with the payroll data, the market wants rate cuts right now. And I understand it, because the payroll revisions that we got on Friday were really, really bad. Really, really bad. We revised May and June down from, 100 and something thousand on both of them. May had 100 and something thousand, June had 100 and something thousand, and they revised both of them down, both months down to under 20,000, which is a very weak report. A very weak report. Not only that, but payroll data for last month came in lower than expected as well for July. And so July's payroll numbers came in lower than expected as well. I think they expected 105. They showed up at 77 or something like that. And so that's a weak look at the economy. And the risk is that if we continue that trend for too long, we can enter recessions and depressions, especially under the looming tariffs that we have going on. But tariffs could also spike inflation. But this is kind of a long-winded way of saying this. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there's risks on both sides. And that's essentially what the Fed's saying right now. But at the same time, I think you could probably argue at least a 25 basis point cut last month. And certainly at least argue a 25 basis point cut in September based off of the job data that we saw last week. And that's why yields are still down a lot. And all that different stuff is happening. So U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick on China expects China deadline to be extended for another 90 days. Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand like why inflation is a risk. Is because we've already had a massive price rising in 5 years. I'm not really ready to deal with that again, and I think that negatively impacts everybody more than anything else. Now, I think you could argue some balance here in terms of the Fed. I think you could argue, ending quantitative tightening on MBSs, which would help bring mortgage rates down. QT is the reduction of the Fed's balance sheet. It's kind of restricting liquidity from those markets, and it's a hawkish, high interest rate pushing thing. I think you could probably argue ending that, especially in MBSs, which would help bring mortgage rates down some. And I think that's the biggest complaint I see on the other end of that is like mortgage rates are unreasonably high. And they're not wrong. I mean, we've been over 6% now for years. So of course, like mortgage people are unhappy, and real estate people are unhappy. People who want to buy homes are unhappy to a certain extent. And there's pros and cons though. Hey, thank you, Steve, Leon. Yeah, the market, I would be trading more today, chat, but the market's just so flat, man. We're just not really doing anything. Like, look how, I haven't seen the market this flat in a long time. Like, look at this. Market, I mean, we're slightly uptrending here. Like, you can kind of see a slight uptrend, but we're so sideways here, man. Like the condensed, like we're so dense here in terms of sideways action. Yeah, it's August. What's up, Sam? What's up, Tiny? I've heard whispers of more stimulus checks. I think it's the worst idea ever. I don't think we should do QE right now either. I see some people pushing for quantitative easing. I don't think you should do that either. Those are the risky things to inflation more than, a lot of other things that people are opting to push for. And so I don't know. I'm not really interested in QE. I think we could end QT. I don't know. All right, so we're still pushing towards the top of this range. Like, I think the Fed can go neutral now, and I think that's the best move, right? Like, them doing QT is still somewhat restrictive, even if they're pausing rates. If they're pausing rates and doing QT, it's still somewhat restrictive. I think we could go straight neutral right now if we wanted. But I'm like I said, I'm a big believer in balance. How do we explain home prices continuing to be at record highs despite interest rates being high? Well, I just think home prices have been going up regardless. I think people are buying cash and doing other stuff with it. I also think homes are sitting for a long time now. Like, homes are sitting. The amount of, the average time for a sale in a home is going up for sure right now. And I think lowering rates going to make home prices go up even more. But, mortgage rates are still high, and again, it's nuanced for sure. All right, Nvidia now coming back down some. A lot of hidden inventories being pulled. Yeah, no, I agree. For a trade that looks for 4 or 5 points, you have a lot of opportunity here in a complete uptrend. Yeah, but we have somewhat of an uptrend, but it's slowing down at this point in time. Maybe you could buy here at 6, but I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm just going to wait. I don't usually have success in markets like this. you have any recommendations to help sitting on hands, not just taking a trade because I'm bored? Just condition yourself through repetition. You get better at it the more you try. Generally, not always, but be like Pavlov, you know, and just do it over and over again until it becomes easier. Nvidia breaking down a little bit now too. Look at Nvidia fall. Exposure therapy. Yeah. No, I know what exposure therapy is. I tell my daughter she's really scared of bugs. I tell her, bro, you need to go be around bugs more, expose yourself to bugs. And become easier. I used to be scared of spiders. Eventually I just was around enough of them where I was like, I'll slap a spider right now, you know. My wife got me one of those salt guns. Those fly shooters. It's so much fun. They're actually pretty accurate too. You're trading futures. 7-5. All right, guys. Yeah, so Lutnick's been speaking. He expects $50 billion a month in tariff revenues. He said the president told tech companies he won't charge tariffs if they build semiconductors in the country. Well, yeah, we already heard that early this morning. He said he's spoken to all key tech leaders in recent days. The U.S. is likely to extend the China deadline another 90 days. I expect the deadline to be extended regarding China. All right, so there's 9 a.m. here. We also had Besant speaking this morning. Amazon Web Services agrees to provide up to $1 billion in discounts for U.S. government agencies through 2028. Is that going to boost Amazon? No. Again, Amazon Web Services agrees to provide up to $1 billion in discounts for government agencies through 2028. U.S. government agencies, it is. Nvidia's still falling down, though. Bouncing right here at the 200 exponential. Just so sideways over the last 30 minutes or so. All right, so we had the jobless claims data today, noticeably higher than expected. It's kind of freaking the market out a little bit, but Honestly, it's increasing the odds of September cut, and they have gone up some as well. So. Is Palantir falling down some? Yeah, everything's flat though for the most part. Look at the Nasdaq back up here, but again, we've kind of gone sideways. Here's 830, and then since 830, we've gone like this. So like we have like a rectangle here, kind of boring. Maybe we'll get some volatility at the open today. Next week's crazy busy, so maybe we'll see some front loading into that potential outcome expectations and stuff. We're starting to creep up though. See what's going up. If we get a dip down to maybe 605, I'll buy this now. Maybe. Got here. AVGO Broadcom's pushing up. United Healthcare is bouncing back up a little bit. Apple's actually decreasing some here. Hims is down a little bit too. Palantir fell down some. You know, I was looking for a 605 bounce, but we just didn't quite get it. Yeah, 93+% odds of a cut now. According to Reuters, tougher transshipment penalties are not expected immediately as the president's tariffs kick in, according to Reuters. Again, so that news just came out. I'm looking for a 605 dip. I think I gotta be patient and wait for 605. Let's see if we get it. It's 608s now. We're at 607.50s. Got it, health bouncing. People say housing crisis, they don't necessarily mean housing shortage. Yeah, it's a mix of everything, though. They could mean either one, for sure, Sam. Buy high, sell higher? I don't know. That's like picking up pennies in front of a train track sometimes. I'm not trying to get involved with... I don't want to buy most stuff at all-time highs. Stuff I bought over the last 24 hours, which I'm really green on. Or almost all pulling back on for some reason. PayPal, United Health, Amazon, Apple. Like, those were all pulling back when I bought them, and most of those are green today. And so... I don't know. I've always been like, I look for dips, especially around earnings season. I'm looking for pullbacks. I think some of the edge there is very high, and that's like the most useful way for me to do it, is just look for that type of edge. All right, we never really got 605. We got 607s. Swiss government's going to hold a press conference at 9:30 Eastern time today, right at the opening bell. We got 20 minutes until that happens. Yeah, we're certainly breaking out a little bit here, but I'm looking at this high of the day level at 638s or so, right here. $625 up there as well, maybe. Still pushing up. AVGO just broke highs. Is at 307s, roughly, just under 307s. Nvidia is starting to bounce back up. Yeah, I'm kind of arguing with AI right now. Don't turn into Skynet, AI. Finally, there we go. That's much better. It finally listened to me. On a 5-minute chart, though. Heck. All right, so we're almost down to 605 again. I might buy the dip if we get back down there. It depends on what Nvidia does. Yeah, if you put it in 2x speed, we should be good, though. If you put it in 2x speed, it should be fine. Palantir's starting to break down. Yeah, I just got to make sure I tell AI thank you, you know, and please, because... All right, so we're starting to dip down. Yeah, AI is interesting though, man. Like, you gotta think. You gotta question how long it is until we have genuine simulations. I was watching the new Jurassic World with my daughter and son yesterday. And one of the things the guy said is that human species, you know, have only been around like X amount of time because we become so intelligent that we're now capable of building things that destroy us, you know, versus potentially simpler organisms that aren't so smart to where they create their own demise. And you got to question if maybe we're in a simulation because of that, you know. It's a little bit deeper, but I'm not going to go all into the simulation thing. I think it's a fun conversation to have when anybody brings up AI, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to do what everybody thinks I'm going to do. All right, we're breaking down. We're at 23,605 now. I don't know if I'm going to buy this dip. This looks a little weak. Maybe if we retrace back up, I'll do it. I might buy 23.6 though. All right, look, I'll buy it. Average it a little bit more here. We'll average in. All right, I'm not going to add any more, though. All right, we got 15 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see what we get. All right, so the Bank of England cut rates to 4%, 25 basis points. Said they fear inflation a little bit more, and essentially that they sided with Powell. I think it's basically what they said. All right, so we're green. Let's see if we can ride this up. Hopefully 605 doesn't turn into a resistance level. All right, we took half off there just because we could. I'm gonna cut it up here if I can. All right. I'm gonna add back at 605 if we pull back to it. All right, so now we're in 2 contracts again. Let's see if we retrace back up there. And we'll try to hold this break even now. Let's see if we can get filled here. All right, we did. hold this break even now. All right, we're starting to head up. Let's see if we keep popping up here. Nice. Got the rest up there. So we're nicely green on the day. We made a good little bit from that trade. Attacking the chop when I can. Attacking the levels I have on my charts too. All right, guys, we got about 11 minutes left. 11 minutes. We got the nice little rip to the top of the range. I'm not really going to try to buy the breakout, though. All right, so we tested the top. I'm not going to really attack this. I'm going to wait for the opening bell in 11 minutes. NVIDIA actually just broke down under the volume weighted average price. Yeah, we had higher unemployment claims than expected. We showed up at 226 versus 221 expected. This is after the week late report we got on Friday. So this had a little bit more of a reaction here. I think it increased the odds of rate cuts at least somewhat. I'm using Top Step X right now. How are you able to day trade in pre-market like you do? Because I'm trading futures and there's no pre-market in futures. I mean, I could trade in stocks too. I mean, you just have to use EXT orders. Again, check out TopStep. Beautiful way. Their new dashboard's really nice. Really nice. Again, great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders are going to lose money. It doesn't matter what course you take, who your mentor is, all that stuff. You're probably going to lose in the beginning. If you don't, you're probably going to lose more. Top Step's useful because you can get started for 50 bucks, test your skill. If you fail, you're out 50 bucks versus funding what do normally people fund their first account, like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. $50 is a lot cheaper, a lot less risk. If you pass it, you get a 90% split anyway. But genuinely useful. Although remember all this stuff, guys. I try to go back to this stuff. Remember all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. Don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Understand all this stuff right here. Yeah. Bond yields. Down a little bit from this report. Next week's going to be more interesting though. If we get lower inflation next week, in my opinion, that will almost all but confirm rate cuts in September. If we get lower inflation data next week. If we get higher inflation data, that makes it a little bit more sticky. If we get lower PCE data as well, that basically confirms it, I think. Although if we get higher PCE and lower CPI, that might still mean there's risks of no cuts next month. I'm pretty sure you said bracket orders to set stops. Like a... You can do a trailing stop, a stop market. Yeah. Yeah, TopStep X is a nice platform. It really is solid. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes left. 6 minutes. All right, so Vice President Vance said 100 million Americans will owe Bitcoin before too long. Palantir is now officially worth over $400 billion. It's more valuable than Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Home Depot, Disney, Bank of America, and other banks. Not JP Morgan, but Bank of America. Again, over 93% chance of a rate cut in September as of now, based off of this latest jobless claims unemployment filing report. The new Battlefield coming out, what is it? Is it a revert to Battlefield 42? No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, so again, we're still going sideways, bouncing at 23.6. Again, pretty stagnant here. Yeah, the beta's live. I think it's 9th and 10th. Data was weak. Higher jobless claims unemployment filings, although the market somewhat reacted positively to it because of increased odds of rate cuts. We got 3 minutes until the opening bell, chat. Starting to see some pullbacks though, like Broadcom's dipping down, Amazon's dipping down some. Nvidia's starting to bounce up a little bit though, look. I don't know if it's going to continue, but All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Hey, thank you, Rusty. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, sir. I'm ready for the open. We'll see if we get anything good. But I'm gonna mute the music for just a second. I just want to see something. All right, guys, we got the opening bell in 1 minute. All right, guys, we got 50 seconds. We're right at the 200 exponential moving average as well. All right, 30 seconds, chat. All right, we got the music back on. We got 10 seconds here, chat. We'll see what we get. Yeah, so I had to mute the music. Now we're back. There's the bell. Amazon ripping up a little bit at least. Nasdaq's falling down here. Nvidia's falling down, kind of retracing all the way back up now. 596 on the Nasdaq here. Gold stagnating a little bit after pushing up a lot this morning. But Nvidia just dipped and then pushed back up. Apple's falling down a little bit as well here. We're not in Apple anymore. Palantir coming all the way back down to 80s. Look at Amazon pop though. Yeah, the music's here. All right, so we're a little red since the opening bell, although Amazon's popping up here. So is United Health. What about the other investments I made? Hims is up too. Ooh, Crocs is down. I might have to cut my Crocs position just because it is breaking down fast. I don't like it. I don't know. Maybe I could buy a little bit more. I'll buy a little bit more. Although, again, it's not really the trade I want to take a lot of risk in. All right, look at Nvidia and Amazon pop. What else did I buy? About PayPal. Man, Amazon flying up right now. We're in Amazon also. Very strong open. I can't really trade stocks, right? Or I can't really trade futures. I'm going to wait and day trade futures later. Swiss government says federal council is to continue negotiations with the United States. Amazon, guys. All right, so Look at that retracement for Nvidia, Amazon. United Health is flying up too. Very strong open. Wow, look at Nvidia churn. A lot of strength at the opening bell. Let's watch this 625 level. Here's Apple. I'm gonna take a little bit of profit here in Amazon again, just because I'm so green on this position. I just feel like I need to have a little bit of urgency on this big rip. Look at the NASDAQ here. Again, watch 625s. Wow, Nvidia flying up too. We didn't even stop at 625s. All right, now we're pulling back some here. Look at this. Wow. All the way back down here. I'm gonna sit on UNH still. What else am I in? I'm in hymns. All right, there's 5 minutes after the bell. Right in the middle range. Hold on. All right, so we've kind of retraced back up here. But we're kind of middle range. I want to wait. We're green on the day. I don't want to take too big of positions right now. All right, so we did actually we added to our Crocs position. I'm gonna cut some of this here, just to limit my losses on this one. We'll let the rest potentially bounce back. I'll hold the rest, but we cut some of this just to make our losses small. We're actually green on the day in stocks too. All right, look at us bounce right here at the 600 level. Rebounding back up, Nvidia pulling back some. All right, we're going to start day trading now here. Let's see if we can find something good. It looks like we're going to try to make a push back up, but you never know. Here, I'm going to buy this dip here. We get a move. Right, we're slightly green. I think it wants to hold. There we go. We took half off there. We'll hold the rest break even. And we're out break even, but we made money on the trade overall. All right, guys. So we're about 10 minutes into the day. Apple's starting to rip up too. My Crocs position basically came all the way back up, which is nice. United Health is green, which is good. We did take off a little bit of our Amazon trade. Hims is green on the day as well. Nvidia is just flying up here. Look at this testing highs of the day now on this resurge. Nvidia just broke highs of the day as well. All right, look at this push. Let's watch 638. I don't know where this level came from, but we're paying attention to it. Still pushing up. Let's watch 650s. Maybe I'll short 650s. Nvidia's just ripping up really strong though. We don't have any economic reports tomorrow, do we? Wait. Okay, September 19th is the next quad witching day. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't that. Watching 650 though. Maybe I'll take a short at 650. I'm waiting. Yeah, Amazon, guys. That dip buy I made on Amazon a few days ago was really nice. I'll take it. Amazon up to 224s right now, man. Look at Amazon. Look at Nvidia. Oh, dude, there was 650. We didn't quite touch it, but it was close enough for me to probably take the trade. I just didn't catch it. Missed it. It's okay. Apple's starting to break down a little bit. We'll see what happens there. Ah, dude, 650. Would have loved to catch that, but it's okay. Yeah, I usually take short-term swing trades based off of earnings that pull back substantially and overreact. Like I've talked about it a lot before. My swing trades basically have to do with overreactions. Like if we drop 10% in a healthy company on mixed numbers or slightly good or slightly bad numbers, and I think we're going to have a high chance of rebounding short-term, I'll buy it up. An example of this is UNH, which I'm very green on. Amazon, I did this on. I took most profit. We're almost certainly not going to be red on Amazon. We're up really big on it. We're still holding a piece of it right now. We did this on Apple, which we're already out of. We made a bunch of money on that. We bought Crocs, but Crocs we're slightly down on. Not a huge loss, though. We're up on Hims. We did this on Hims, too. We're green on it. We did this on PayPal, and we took most of the profit off of that one already. So we've done this on a bunch of different stocks. It works fairly well. I can't say it's always going to work. But it's kind of what I need to do. Sometimes I'll take like a majority of profit and then I'll hold it long term. I see we're right in this middle range here though. I just don't know if I like this right now. Yeah, Lily. Nvidia's been pumping higher. I wanted 650 right here. Remember, I talked about this level resistance. A little mad I didn't catch it. I talked about it, but it's all right. Sometimes you miss. I'm on toss right here. Bouncing again at 6. We're really kind of sideways since the opening bell. We've gone up big, and we have some stuff moving up like Nvidia and other chip stocks, but everything else is kind of fading. Small share size, not big. Novo CEO Dooster says he will not limit himself when he looks for cost savings. Adds that salaries are a cost item. Will review everything. I'm going to short this now. I'm going to catch a cheap short. There we go. I mean, look, I'm going to take profit here. We're up 20, 30 ticks in like 5 seconds. And so we jumped in quick. We also hit this level very fast. And so I'm going to take profit in there already. I know it's a quick scalp, but I think it's a justifiable one just based off of how fast it went in my direction. James, you might be really delayed on stream. He said Reyes. I'm assuming you're talking about Dominic Reyes beating John Jones. I thought Reyes won, but you know, you gotta knock out the champion to beat him. And if he didn't KO Jones, you know, I give it to Jones still, and still think Jones is the GOAT of middleweight. I feel for Reyes though. I thought he won, but you know, that's how it goes. But hit the live button next to the play button, bro. You're way delayed on the stream. I wasn't talking about John Jones. It's been 40 minutes since I talked about John Jones. Really, I think it was right when the economic data came out at 8:30, so it's been over an hour. You're just really delayed. Hit the live button. All right, I'm too worried we're gonna chop right now, though. Yeah, I haven't trained in the last few days, like last couple weeks, really. And so, I gotta start training again, man. It's been a few weeks. Just been busy doing other stuff with the family. But, I'm getting the itch to train again for sure. In jiu-jitsu, that is. He won't hear you for 45 minutes. I know. Yeah. Yeah, I got you, Pana. I already did it. I appreciate it. Yeah, back to school. Stressing me out. My kids are fine, though. They're happy. Both my kids are happy and doing good, man, so that's always good. All right, Amazon at 224s. Yeah, MBX, I don't know. The liquidity's way too low on this thing, man. And it's a biotech company. I'm not trying to invest in that, brother. I'm good. Tiago Santos? Yeah. Santos was a beast for sure. All right, Crocs is starting to rebound back up. We're kind of chopping sideways. I think it looks like a downtrend here. Looks like we're going to head down, but you never know, especially in this market right now. United Health finally breaking down. I'm just glad I took most of the profit off this thing already. I always tell myself I'm going to hold it long term and then I cut it in a day or two just because I'm up. Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, Drickus versus Hamzat will be good. I gotta give it to Hamzat though. Again, I'm talking about MMA just because there's nothing else to do and the market's kind of sideways, middle range. It's been sideways all morning. Gold's kind of breaking down though. Look at gold start to fall. Crocs is bouncing up though. All right, so the Swiss president says the strength of their industry should not be put in question by the high U.S. tariffs. The Swiss industry has withstood many challenges in the past, and like the 2020 and end of the minimum exchange rate. Yeah, we're very sideways. Like I said, I'm worried about us chopping. I would have attacked the downward range, but it's just too likely that we're going to chop. And that's what it seems like we're doing now. It looked like a downward trend here. We had broken under a bunch of levels, but the NASDAQ is so sideways. I don't think today's an easy day to make money. Swiss president speaking, that might be moving things. All right, so 3 rate cuts are now expected by the end of this year. See if we get a liquidity surge. 3 rate cuts now expected by the end of this year. All right, look at 625 hold as well. I could probably build a system based purely off of my levels here. Yeah, I'm staying pretty out of the market. I'm green, but I'm not really trading a lot right now. I just don't find it very easy to trade this. This is very sideways action for a Thursday. So I'm just sitting tight here, waiting. Where's Bitcoin at this morning? Bitcoin heading up? I would assume it is based off of a couple different catalysts. Yeah, Bitcoin over 117 now. Amazon's still flying up. Consolidating here, guys. And again, if you want to limit your risk, try Top Step. There's no PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Get you around the PDT rule. That's the big thing. Like, there's rumors they're changing the PDT rule. But, and again, this is my only third plug of the day, third or fourth, in 3 or 4 hours. So 1 an hour is not that bad. Cry about it if you don't like it. But they're talking about changing the PDT rule from 25,000 minimum down to 2,000, which is absolutely necessary. But even if it's at 2,000, futures get you around the PDT rule. There's no PDT rule there. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose. Everybody thinks they're going to be different. I thought I was going to be a day trading savant. Genius day trader, you know. I mean, I am, you know, don't get me wrong. But I thought I was going to be more genius than this. And I ended up losing $4,000 in like 2 weeks learning to day trade. And so, don't do that. Try Top Step instead. It makes more sense. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. But it's still useful. Yeah, I mean, the real reason, I've said this 1,000 times, but the real reason the PDT rule is there is to let banks sit on your money longer and earn more interest. 100%. That's why it's there. They can claim it's not, but that's what it is. All right, we're so flat here, guys. I'm just not really loving this. I'm green. Yeah, I'm still in Crocs. I added a little bit at 75s. I got an average price of 76 for Crocs right now. It's at 80 almost, so we're doing okay in Crocs too. I don't know. It's not approved yet, but they're talking about it. Yeah, CROX. Hey, bud. Yeah. 11. That's what you just said, bro. No. Bro, I'm not gonna let you play games for 3 hours, dude. I'm just not. If you want to play for 2 hours and then take a long break, fine. That's my only deal. If you argue with me, you don't get the deal at all, bro. Listen, nope, I'm not talking about it. You accept that deal or you get no games. If you argue with me about it, dude, okay, look, I'm gonna let you do whatever you want to do, but it'll be at 3. Okay, you're bargaining with me, so look, here. I'm gonna give you an hour and a half every time you argue with me. Okay, then you better accept what I told you and get out of here, bro. I'm working right now, too. Thank you. Okay. No. It's 3 hours. It's 2 hours on, 3 hours off, Jack. It's absolutely fair. Kids are home for the summer. Oh, he negotiates for sure. He's a negotiator. He tries. All right, NASDAQ's pushing up to the top of the range. Yeah, it turns into deal or no deal in my household. Apple started to push up though. We're at 650s right now. Let's see what happens. The day he gets jacked, you're in trouble. Bro, by the time he gets jacked, I'm gonna at least be a purple or brown belt. He's still in trouble. I don't care, you know. Oh yeah, he comes in when he knows I'm busy trying to make deals. All right, look, we just broke the, is this the high of the day? We did. We just broke highs of the day. We're at 652s right now. 652s. A Trump-Putin meeting would reportedly not happen if the leader does not agree to meet with the Ukrainian president. So there's optimism about a Trump-Putin meeting right now going on, and that's what's driving markets higher as we speak. Amazon's up there. Yeah. So the news here is optimism on the two presidents meeting. Yeah, you can trade 30-year bonds on Top Step. I think, right? Let me see. What would it be? T and X? No. Yeah, ZB. These are bond prices though, right? So these aren't yields, these are prices, I'm assuming. I'm not used to trading yields or prices. Let me see, where's TLT at? Yeah, these are prices. So this is following TLT bonds. So these are bond prices, I think. I don't know. I think these are bond prices. I'm just not used to trading them. Oh no, I would assume 830, which is right here for me. Yeah, these are bond prices. Because here's 830. Labor report, or the jobless claims report, came out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time right here. It came out weaker than expected, which made yields decrease and bond prices increase. So these are bond prices, not yields. All right, so we got wholesale inventories that just came out. They showed up at 0.1% versus 0.2% expected. 0.3% for wholesale trade sales. You want to take a look at the NQ here. NQ's ripping up. Again, it's not ripping up on wholesale inventories. It's ripping up on a potential meeting between the two presidents and the optimism surrounding that. Gold's falling down a little bit here as well, though. Nvidia's shooting up as well, breaking highs. So look at Nvidia. Nvidia just broke highs of the day again. Gold's falling down some. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out of here, guys. Hey, y'all be safe today. Market's kind of volatile, but it's a fun market. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we end up pushing towards highs today. Again, we'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning, as we always are. Again, remember, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. I have no idea what I'm talking about sometimes. I might be wildly wrong about anything I say. Sometimes I trade and lose off stream, and you might not see it. Understand CFTC 4.41. Some of the links are sponsored links, so don't copy me. Not an investment professional. Good luck. Y'all be safe. As soon as we close the stream, it should pivot you to the next stream we got going on tomorrow. And so just be ready for that, chat. And I'll see you guys then. Good luck. Stay safe.